Welcome to the Collide Kids Podcast, hosted by Christen Clark. This is a show for kids and families. You are going to meet new people and have fun while you listen. Let's do it!
Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Collide Kids Podcast. I'm your host, Christen Clark. The Collide Kids Podcast is a show for kids and families where we learn together how life and faith collide. And I am so glad you're here today. Hey, before we jump into today's episode, I just want to take a quick moment again to let you know about another podcast that I host called 7-Minute Devotions for Busy Parents. So if you're a parent who is busy and wants to stay rooted in God's word, but feel like life is just too full, it's too busy, there's too much going on, let me tell you something. This podcast is for you. Each episode is really short, about 7 minutes long. It's an encouraging devotional designed just to fit into your real life. And I'm really passionate about creating resources that support families and their families' faith journey because family discipleship matters so much to me. So I want parents to know they are not alone in all of this. And that's why I created this show. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go search for 7-Minute Devotions for Busy Parents wherever you listen to podcasts. Okay, let's get into today's episode because let me just tell you guys, this was such a fun one. Today on the show, I'm joined by two friends of mine who know a thing or two about helping kids experience the Bible in exciting ways. I am here with Brock Eastman and Shaun Stevenson. Brock is an award-winning writer who works with the team behind the Action Bible and helped develop children's curriculum and digital resources that bring scripture to life for kids. He also worked with Adventures in Odyssey and Focus on the Family, and he's written several books for kids and families. Shaun Stevenson is a pastor to kids, an international speaker, and a storyteller who loves helping families discover who God is and what he's doing in the real world. He is passionate about making scripture come alive for kids in ways that are creative and engaging. Together, they have teamed up to write a brand new book series called Parable Port. And let me just say, this conversation was so much fun. We laughed a lot. We told a few stories, and we talked about how Jesus' parables still have so much to teach families today. So grab a snack, gather the kids, get ready. We're going to have a really good time today. Here's my conversation with my friends Brock Eastman and Shaun Stevenson. Brock and Shaun, I am so excited to have you guys on the Collide Kids Podcast today.
Yay!
We have already been laughing quite a bit before we started, so I know this is going to be a fun interview for sure.
I made it too, by the way. I made it in time.
You did.
Just barely.
Brock almost didn't make it, but he's here. And Brock, you've already been on this show before, so how does it feel to come back?
I'm excited. I've been sad that you haven't had me on for like 4 years. I mean,
It has been a while.
Why is it taking so long, Christen? No, I am so grateful to be back and going to chat with you again. I love it.
Yeah, this is great. Yes, we had a lot of fun, and we're going to do a lot of fun things today too, I think, and talking about what you guys are here for. You guys have written a book together.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, I'm excited to hear about that. But before we do, because this is a show for kids, I always ask my guests to tell me a joke. So since there's two of you, I get at least 2 jokes, maybe more. I don't know. We'll see.
That's right. Go, Brock. You go.
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay.
Okay.
Because this one's going to lead to more jokes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. The joke sets up more jokes. Okay. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Roar.
Roar who?
Roar, you ready for more dinosaur jokes?
Oh, yes.
I have to give you one more dinosaur joke. And this one's an old one, but one of my favorite ones. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
What kind of dinosaur loves to sleep?
Ooh.
What
I
kind
don't
of
know.
dinosaur loves to sleep? All the kids out at home that are watching this are screaming the answer because they know it.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't think you've ever told me this joke.
Really?
I have no clue.
Tell me when you want me to reveal the amazing answer.
I want to hear it.
Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus.
I feel like you enjoyed that a lot.
I did.
It's good.
I did.
Do you have a dinosaur joke as well, Shaun?
Well, I don't have a dinosaur joke. So I'm a children's pastor. So I have a Bible joke because that's always my world. So, okay, here's the joke. When was the first tennis match in the Bible?
Ooh, I don't know.
It's definitely when Joseph served in Pharaoh's court.
Okay.
Wah, wah.
Is there a dinosaur in there somewhere?
Maybe. Who knows?
I love it.
I
That's
love
good.
it.
I like a
you,
good
Shaun.
Bible joke. That's good. That's good. So first of all, you guys have written a book together, which means you probably have to be good friends to do something like that, right? So how did you guys become friends?
Well, that's a bit of a Shaun story to start, but I will intercede by saying we've actually already written 3 books together. The 3rd book in the series we're talking about is already written.
Oh.
Pretty crazy. And then 2, we've been mostly virtual friends. We've only seen each other in person 2-3 times, I think 4 times.
Yes. But do you remember where the first time we met in person was? It was at a restaurant after your very own heart.
A dinosaur cafe. It was in Orlando. And we have pictures. And so this is how your whole interview is going to be, Christen.
That's how it goes.
Okay. So we went to this dinosaur restaurant. We just both happened to be in Orlando. Were you there for CPC and I was there for Compassion or something? I was there for something else.
I was there for a children's pastor conference and you were there with Compassion International. Yeah.
And we just happened to be in town at the same time. So cool. So we went and met at this restaurant. It's like a rainforest cafe, but it's all dinosaurs. And we got this picture out front in front of this Jeep. And we were just at CPC again this year. And his wife took the same exact picture again.
We recreated the pose.
On purpose, or like you realized it after that you had taken the same picture?
On purpose.
Oh, on purpose.
It's kind of like those awkward family photos where they make the dad hold the kid when they're like 20 years old. But I didn't hold Shaun this time, even though I'm old.
No,
But we did take a picture. We were doing something, though. We were making fun of you for something, like some kind of awkward. You did like your arm or you like.
We were like shaking hands and it was hilarious.
It was great.
I love that. And I love that you got to recreate it. That's great.
Well, so we met because I actually left Brock I wouldn't say it was a bad review. It was a like middle of the road review on one of his books online. And he actually messaged me. He found my contact info and said, "Hey, okay, what do you think? Like, how could we strengthen the book? Like, what are some of your thoughts?" So we started emailing back and forth. And after that, we started working on different projects together and just became friends and had a great time. And ever since, we still are friends and still laugh a lot. And it's actually really awesome because we've written 3 books together, and writing with another person at first could be kind of a difficult seeming thing. But for Brock and I, we are both so invested in making the story the best it can be that we're always like, okay, what's the best idea? How can we make this better? And we work together really well that way because we're not trying to be like, oh, I'm the star. Oh, I'm the star. We're like, no, Jesus is the star and we want to make the story all about him. So that's like our big focus.
That's really cool. And I love that you left some constructive criticism. And in Brock, instead of being angry or annoyed that somebody would do that, you're like, I want to know more.
I reached out. Well, I think, part of the journey of being a writer, and I didn't grow up wanting to be a writer at all. Like, it wasn't until I stumbled into it in college. And then honestly, God just kept opening door after door. I think we probably talked about this the first time, Christen, we met many years ago. But seriously, the whole goal for me in this whole writing journey has been just getting better and better and learning how to do this craft. And it's been a lot of fun. And so when somebody comes at you when someone mentions some suggestions on how to make the book better, if you're truly not writing for yourself and you're actually writing for the reader, you should want to make it better. Like Christen, the one thing I don't like, and this is what Shaun and I do so well together, I really think is we take our egos out of it. The writing is not about him or I or what the story we want to tell. It's all about the end user, the kid at the end who's going to learn a lesson, get a message, love the book, and want to read more and more. And so that's how I have always approached my writing is make it better, make it the best it could be. And so when Shaun offers some good feedback, and that's what I appreciate about him the most was he was willing then to talk to me and work through a project. And he actually came on and actually did some writing for me on some other projects I did before we ever got here. And so that collaboration has been building over, 5-10 years. Shaun, it's been a long time.
Yeah, like 10 years or something like that. So
wow, that's amazing. I love that. And I think that's really good advice, when you're starting out in a field, or even if you're already in a field that you've been in for a while and someone wants to give you maybe a coach or somebody wants to help you along or help you improve, that's not a bad thing. And so sometimes it's easy to take it personally or to have your feelings hurt. But if you're open to that, and like you said, the goal was not to just be the expert. It's to grow and to get better. So I think that's good advice. And I love that a friendship came out of that.
Constructive feedback is important. And Shaun offers that, right? It wasn't a, oh, this is my opinion. It was good feedback, right? It was,
yeah.
It was good feedback. And I do think as Christians too, right? There is all about community and forgiveness and things like that. And you work through your challenges and you overcome them and you get better together.
I love that image of people coming alongside each other. And like the Bible talks about that a lot, like in Galatians 6 talks about that, like coming alongside one another. And I think of that as how when we work together with other people, we can come alongside each other to keep going forward together instead of coming at each other and facing each other and blocking each other from, going forward.
Absolutely. I know. And I feel like for the things that I'm doing, I really like when people are able to offer feedback that helps me improve. And so I actually don't like it when everybody's like, oh, it's great. It was good. I mean, I appreciate encouragement, but what I really appreciate is someone who cares enough about what I'm doing or how I'm operating and whatever the thing is I'm doing to want me to grow. And so it's very meaningful. So I love that's part of our faith and our community is we do that for each other. Let's talk about your book. This is the third book in the series, or this is the first one, and you have 3.
Even better, Christen. This is the first book of 4.
Of
but
4.
3 are written.
It gets better and better.
So it's like a 1, 2, 3, 4. One is out or coming out. Well, one is out when this airs. 2 are coming out this year. The third one is written, coming out next year, and the fourth one is still in our heads and coming out in 2 years. So 4.
Okay. Yep. That's amazing. I love that. Now, was that the goal when you started writing this? Was it like, we're going to do a 4-book series, or did you start with 1 and realize you had a lot more to tell?
41 books, 41 parables, 38 parables, however many parables there are. It depends on how you look at it, 38, 40, somewhere in that zone, right, Shaun? We've been discussing that number is kind of actually.
Yep. Oh, yes.
People consider it parable. So that's not real. Our goal is to continue to explore parable port, to continue to build the world out. And so we did set out wanting to write at least 3 or 4 books. We had kind of 8 mapped out initially on how those parables would play together. And some of the books do cover 2 parables. The very first book covers 2 parables technically in it.
Okay.
And so it's just kind of living in that world and growing it. Shaun, you might have something to add, but I think the goal has always been just to explore what parable port look like and these kids that we want readers to be friends with.
Well, and we were talking together about what would be a fun book series to write and like what would be something really, really that fits both of us. And at the time, I had been telling my wife, who's a librarian, it's always good when you have book questions, go to a librarian.
Yeah.
I asked her, I said, hey, do you know of any books about parables like that are for kids that they could read that would be fun? And she looked, and she is good at finding stuff. And she said, nope, I can't find anything. So we talked about it like, what if we made like a book series about parables? So the book actually started as a picture book. And then the publisher, Tyndale Publishers, said, hey, can you actually make this like a middle grade series? So we said, all right, let's think about it. How can we do it? And so we did. And we have had so much fun writing in this world. And we both feel like there are so many stories to tell. And it's kind of each book is like a full story, but there's little threads that continue from book to book to book. I know as a reader, I always love that in a series where there's, this little thing is happening over here, but we'll find out more about that in book 2. And so this series is so much fun. There's so many great things happening because it's a book series about a town where the parables of Jesus literally come to life. So the kids in the story are like, what's going on with like these rock slides and there's vines growing all over town and there's birds flying in from everywhere. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure it out. Well, the kids, you guys reading it, are figuring out what's happening too. So it's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. And I love this whole idea of pulling in the parables of Jesus. Can you explain what a parable is? Maybe people that are listening might not understand what that word means.
That's definitely a Shaun question. He's the pastor.
Pastor Shaun.
All right. So a parable, it's a story that Jesus told where he was using everyday objects to talk about a heavenly truth. So, for instance, in this first book, we talk about the parable of the sower, or the parable of the farmer, sometimes it's called. And it's a story Jesus told where he's talking about this farmer planting seeds, and some of the seeds falls on a path and the birds eat it up, and then some of the seeds fall in the rocks and it doesn't really grow, and then some of the seeds fall with thorns and the thorns choke it out, and then some of the seeds fall on really good soil and it grows and grows and grows. And the disciples, Jesus's friends, had asked asked him, like, okay, Jesus, what's this story all about? Like, what are you talking about? And so parable, it's this word that we use, kind of a Bible-y word, but it's a word that helps us understand something using everyday objects all around us. And in this case, it's all about hearing God's word, deciding to believe in him, and then like that seed that falls in the good soil, it just grows and grows and grows. When someone decides to believe in Jesus, they grow closer and closer to Jesus. So that's what a parable is, a story about everyday stuff that helps us understand eternal truth.
That's really cool. I love that that was part of how Jesus would teach, is he would tell stories. And we are so spoiled because we can watch, on Netflix and Angel and all these different places and pull up whatever kind of video or thing to entertain us. But back then, they only had storytelling as a way of entertainment and a way to get people to think about things. So I think that's really cool that that's part of who Jesus was, that he wanted people to understand.
And I like the word Bible-y that Shaun added there earlier.
That's right, Bible-y.
Very Bible-y. I love it. Yes. Another thing about parables, and this is just my personal view, there's no theological Bible-y things to back this up.
Bible-y.
But I like to imagine the people in the audience or in the crowd that was listening to the stories of Jesus. So maybe he's telling the story of the sower, and there's a guy who happens to be a farmer that wanders up, and he hears this story, and he's like, that happened to me. So maybe Jesus was telling a real, because a lot of the stories he told, they could have been real stories, So can you imagine like being the woman that lost her coin and all her friends celebrated? And as you're walking through celebrating, Jesus is telling the story of a woman who lost her coin. She's like holding the coin. So I like to think of that, like the people listening are like so excited and invested in stories that way.
Yes. It's so awesome to think about like just using everyday things to help us remember who God is. We talked about this recently at our church with our kids, actually, like looking around at the things that you have in your house, like what things do you have that remind you of something God has done? And so we asked the kids and they started saying, oh, I have a cross at my house. It's on a necklace that my mom wears. And that reminds me of Jesus dying on the cross. And another kid said, there's a picture of a dove at my house. And that reminds me of the Holy Spirit. And they just started talking about all these little things that remind them of God. And I think that is exactly what Jesus was up to. He's talking about seeds. So every time those people remembered planting seeds, they probably thought, oh yeah, remember that story Jesus told us? So that to me is the power of like everyday items helping us learn about Jesus.
Well, and you just said it. We are now using those same symbols, but 2,000 years later, we're still identifying stories and how to live life with the parables and the objects in those parables. So, which again, 2,000 years later, we're writing a book to help kids further understand the stories and express them in their life. And I think that's a lot of what makes this series fun. We're not creating something new. We're using stories that Jesus has already told and helping kids understand them in different ways or looking at them from different angles or help them find characters in the book that they can relate to and see how it applies to their life. And I think that's what makes this really, really a fun project.
That's really cool. You talked earlier about how like you were going to make this a picture book. And then the publisher came and said, we really want this to be for middle age. So how does that different? Like when you're writing a picture book versus writing like more of a chapter book, what's the difference in that writing process?
Well, I'm really grateful that we didn't do a picture book. And the reason why is picture books sound like a lot of fun. I was doing, like Shaun said, I was in the middle of writing several picture books. And so that made sense to me. Like I'm doing picture books. They're great. They're popular. But I don't think, well, I know just based on the word count and we could have never explored the story in the way that we are right now. And so what actually happened was they had this, I think that was part of it, reading like, oh, there's so much more here. It was actually Linda Howard. She was our publisher at the time. And she's like, maybe let's try an early reader. And I think part of that had to do with the Dead Sea Scrolls. They're very highly successful.
Oh, yeah.
They're early readers for chapter books. And they felt already with the writing they saw that Parable Report could be like Dead Sea Scrolls, could be a popular series like that kids could really sink their teeth into. So we actually took our stab at expanding it. It was actually called Parable Garden, and it was set on top of a skyscraper in New York City. And these people, this apartment building, not skyscraper, this apartment building, right? And so that we had all these fun rooms designed and these characters and people would meet and kind of bounce around. And ultimately end up on this rooftop garden where they'd hear about the parables. The whole story was written. It was actually a great story. And I was like, well, actually, one of the first pieces of feedback, Shaun, if you remember this, was, I don't think kids are going to connect with the city. Like, that doesn't really do it. Can we put it somewhere else? And it seems like, okay. And as soon as we started exploring the characters, there's more there. And so it was like, let's do an early reader. And so we moved to an earlier / first chapter, which is kind of, you got your picture book, which can technically be from anywhere from 8 down to 0, really, depending on how you write it. But early reader first chapter, it's like kind of like that 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds who's really starting to read, learning words. And so we actually wrote the first draft. I think we were aiming like 15,000 words or 10,000 words or something like that. I think it ended up being like 25. And as they read the book, and I think they realized the depth of the story, like, actually, we think it's a middle grade book. And so then they gave us a few more words that we were allowed to write, 30,000 instead of 15. So it actually had 3 different iterations as the story grew and expounded. And so when you asked earlier about, what did we think we wanted to write? And I jokingly said the 41 parables. I think as we started to dig into these parables and understand how impactful those were in Jesus' time and all these stories to explore, it really became very evident that there was a lot of opportunity, which meant as we went from picture book to early reader to middle grade, we could explore more of that world. We could build a town called Parable Port. We could put it with a whole cast of characters from 6 primary kids to a whole slew of adults that you get to meet, places to go and explore and be part of. And so I don't think I'm answering your question, Christen, but it really became this really big story. And so, I don't know. I don't think I answered your question, but it's been a lot of fun. That's all I can say.
No, you did. I think that's so interesting that you've written this a few times. So this has been like a few different versions of the story. And you had to like kind of start over and regroup a little bit, but it's gone through so much.
When did we start writing this? Was it 2021, 22? 22?
I want to say it was 22. So like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been a long time coming, in this process. But I think that's also part of the thing is as you craft good stories, it's that collaboration. It's that, we could have said, as soon as Tyndale came back and said, we don't want to be pictured, we could have said, no, we're going somewhere else. We don't want that. Yeah. Like we could have done that.
Right.
Some people do that. There are people out there who do that. But it's not our story. This is a story that Jesus told a long time ago. We just want to bring it and help more kids from the next generation learn that story. And so it's not our story. And so when you get a good suggestion from experts in the field, Tyndale is one of the best kids publishers there is out there. And when they say, we need this, and they believe in it, you do good to take heed of that and start to build that story. And so, it goes from the beginning of me and Shaun's story to where we're at right now. It's about collaboration. It's about building and growing and creating a really great immersive story that kids can read and get into. And that's the ultimate goal.
I was reading up about this book. So you've got lots of things that go with your book. So it comes with a map of the town Parable Port. Yes. It comes with a podcast. Tell us a little bit about the podcast.
The map is so detailed. It has so many little fun little places that you can find, and it's a lot of fun. But the podcast, one of our main characters in the series is named JR, and she wants to be a famous podcaster someday. Oh. So she is always walking around with her phone, making recordings, talking about what's happening in the town and talking about these parables. And so we have her podcast that you can go and listen to after you read the book. You can listen to usually 2 to 3 episodes per book, and they kind of expand on what happened, give you a few more details, maybe give you some hints about what's coming up in the next book, and just fun little stories and things. So they're so much fun. And I don't know if we can say, Brock, but we have some people who are going to be part of this podcast who we're both so excited about that we're like, I can't believe that person said that they would do a voice for us.
Name drop. Shaun, name drop.
Tell us.
Name drop. Do it. You do it.
And then you say the second one. So we locked up she's been a good friend for a long time. Her name's Chris Anthony, and she is the Chris from Adventures in Odyssey. And so she's agreed to be our Mrs. Grumperoost, which is a fantastic, probably one of my favorite characters in the whole series.
She's hilarious.
So we're going to record her parts here pretty soon. We just wrote another. Anyway, he explained the episode. We're writing several episodes. One episode is like a recap episode and a lead into the next one. One episode is just kind of a fun episode for kids to explore the world deeper. So it's we might interview. This one we're writing right now is there's a place called Ketchup Kingdom. And JR and Duck decide the Chick-fil-A thing. They have to spend overnight to get lifetime supply or a year supply of Ketchup Kingdom. So it's just a funny episode. It doesn't happen in the books, but it did, and so it exists. And then a third one, which will be more like an interview or like an exploration one, so like that. And then Shaun, who's the other one we just asked? They had us on their podcast, and I kind of hinted at what we were doing, and the person said, I would be happy to do that. So we're holding him
and that might be none other than Mike Naraki, the voice of Larry the Cucumber.
Dead Sea Squirrels, too.
Dead Sea Squirrels.
So we think it'd be really
so excited.
Fun. It'd be really fun to do this kind of stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had Mike on my show, too, and it was great. And when he told his joke, he told it in the voice of Larry the Cucumber.
Of course he did.
Love it.
It was the best.
Teased him. because when he brought us out of the commercial break, he did it in the voice without even realizing he was doing the voice. I'm like, did you just do Larry the Cucumber there? And he laughs.
Yes.
I don't even know if he knows he's doing it.
That's right.
It's so great.
It's part of him. It is.
I love it.
How does another podcaster, pointing to myself, put in an application to be on this podcast? Can I audition for this? I need to be a part of this, I think.
We got roles that you could be. That'd be so fun.
Okay, let's go.
We actually have a podcaster visiting in Captain's Clue, and her name is Sylvia Sage. So
I love that name.
There's some
Brock, that is genius,
Write
actually.
that down.
I'm so
Write
excited.
that down.
I'm not excited about that.
I love this, you guys. I love that you've put all of this together. You've created this whole town and this whole area. I think our listeners are really going to enjoy this book series. So Parable Port, The Sower's Secret has just come out this month. Congratulations on that. That's amazing. And then you said you have another book that's coming out this year. When does the next one come out?
Captain's Clue comes out June 9th. So it's like really close.
Yeah.
2 books this year within 3 months of each other, 4 months of each other. Pretty awesome.
The books, too, are like, we feel like they're such a fun read. Like we both, even though we wrote them, we both read it back and we laugh out loud so many times because we love to have fun and make it funny. And so there's a lot of adventure and action and all kinds of fun things throughout each book that I feel like readers are going to love and just pull them along through the story. We just had someone read, their 9-year-old got to read a copy of it and told us that he just devoured it and is like,
nice.
When is book 2?
Yes. And that's how I am whenever I read a series. When I get to the end of the book, I'm like, and now when can I pick up the next one to know what happens next? So that's, at least we have a time frame. We know it's coming in June. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show today and talking about this. This was so fun. I love that you guys are doing this together, and I'm excited about this whole series. And I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Yes.
I'm speaking
we have plans now.
We have a spoken contract.
That's
another
right.
famous person to our list of stuff. This is good.
Yes.
I love this.
That's awesome. Well, before I let you go, I always like to ask my guests to tell me a memory from when they were a kid. So, Shaun, why don't you go first? Tell us your memory.
So when I was a kid, I always knew I wanted to write. I loved writing. I loved reading.
That's awesome.
It was just a thing that I loved doing. And so one of my favorite things I did when I was a first grader was I lived in this little trailer park in Southern California, and me and my friends decided, let's write a puppet show and put it on for our neighborhood. So we made this whole puppet show. We invited all of our neighbors. We all went around like yelling at people through their windows, like, come to our puppet show. It's going to be in an hour. And then we made these little puppets on paper and we glued popsicle sticks to them. And so it was called The Little Turtle and was all about this turtle who works together with his friends to save the day. And so I love that story because it reminds me of like one of the first times that I was part of telling a story. And I think even as a kid, like you can tell stories too. Like if you love telling stories, do it. It's so fun.
That's great. I love that. Maybe we'll see that become a picture book someday.
You never know.
All right, Brock, what about you?
Well, Shaun mentioned that he wanted to be a writer. I didn't really like to read much or write anything. There was one thing I was very committed to growing up, and that was to be a paleontologist. And I wanted to go out and dig up dinosaurs. Now, I will say I had to pull this out because you mentioned. So I did write some stuff when I was younger. This is called The Dino's Door. So I wrote about dinosaurs. Yeah. And I got some illustrations here. I did illustrations in it.
That's
Anyhow,
good.
So I guess I did some writing, but I wanted to be a dinosaur hunter. Like I wanted to go out, and then I realized when I saw the movie Jurassic Park that those paleontologists, they were out in the desert, kind of just brushing bones. And my personality is not one to
be in the desert
or take time. So since it wasn't Jurassic Park related, I quickly switched over to an aerospace engineer. And that's what I decided I wanted to do. But
okay.
Yeah.
And
which
now here you are.
I'm in marketing. I went into marketing. So
it's a hard turn to the other way, but that's okay. That's good. That's good. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show today. Where can our listeners find your book?
Well, they can find wherever books are sold. They can go to parableport.com, but also they can go into Barnes & Noble. Books A Million will have it online. Amazon, of course, Christian book. They're Christian indies. A lot of Christian indies will have it. And so pretty much anywhere they go, they should be able to find it, at least online, and a lot of retail stores as well. if they go to Barnes & Noble, they might find some signed copies because Shaun and I are planning on hitting up our local Barnes & Nobles, so Illinois, Colorado, other places like that as we travel, and signing copies. And they have committed to have it on shelves. And we're going to do some live videos from those Barnes & Nobles when we sign books. So if your listeners are paying attention to our socials, might be able to find some fun signed copies.
Very cool. I love that so much. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show today. This was great.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
That was so much fun for me. I don't know if you had a fun time, but I had a fun time. I had a fun time listening to it again. I love their story about how they became friends. Instead of being offended that Shaun gave Brock feedback about his writing, Brock saw it as something that they could help each other grow together and get better. And they talked about it. And through that, they became friends. Isn't that great? I love that they said that their focus is that Jesus is the star of everything they do. So instead of trying to block each other or face off, they are trying to work together. When we do that, we all get better when we're working together. Shaun also explained to us that a parable is a story that Jesus told using everyday objects to talk about heavenly, eternal truth, like planting seeds or finding a lost coin. These ordinary things that remind us and teach us more about God, and we can look for those things in our everyday lives too. And I'm so excited that I might be able to be a character in this series. I'm making sure this happens because this is so exciting. Although I should say I am very good at talking and podcasting, but I'm not very good at keeping plants alive. So I hope that's not a requirement since the character Sylvia Sage has a plant shop, but I will work on it. And I'm so grateful that Shaun and Brock have come together like this to put a book series together for middle grade kids. This book is a chapter book with a few pictures in it and lots of extra resources. I think your kids are really going to enjoy it. So I love that they're creating resources like that. If you'd like to learn more about Parable Port series, the first book that's already out this month, and then the next one's coming out this summer, you want to stay on top of this, go to parableport.com or go to Amazon or wherever books are sold and you will find this series. I think you're going to love it. Well, thank you so much for listening today. This was so much fun. As we wrap up, listen, my prayer for you is that something from today's conversation sticks with you and your family this week, whether it's just a small truth, something for you to hold on to, or a simple step that you can take as a family, things to talk about. Remember this, God loves you. He wants you to know him. He wants to be close to you, and he is always walking right there with you. I hope you have an amazing week, and I'll see you back next time. If you love today's episode, share it with a friend and follow us on social media at Collide Kids Pod so you don't miss what's next. You can find more episodes and resources at collidekidspodcast.com and leave a quick rating and review that really helps other families find out about the show. Thanks so much for being a part of the Collide Kids Podcast. And in case no one has told you today, God loves you so much. See you next time. You know, raising kids in the digital age isn't easy, but Bark Technology makes products that help parents keep their kids safe online and in real life. They have an app, a phone, and a home device that lets families set parental controls on their internet-connected devices. I love the app because it helps us manage screen time and blocks websites and apps we want our kids to avoid. It also sends alerts and gives us the ability to monitor texts and social media and even track your child's location. Visit bark.us to learn more about how you can keep your kids safe online. Use the code COLLIDEKIDS to get 15% off your subscription of the Bark app.